So I'm starting winter project number one. I've got a 5.9 Magnum, and it appears like it's in going to be pretty good shape. What I'm going to do with it is I'm going to make it into an aluminum head roller cam small block to put in my duster. So if something like that sounds like it interests you, stick around. Now I don't think this engine has probably ever been apart. I'm like 99.9% sure. I popped the oil pan off because my neighbor needed one. He was dropping a 360 in a little short box, a lot similar to my own. And that's actually the only reason that the oil pan is off of it, so I could have a look. But yeah, she's original, like she come from the factory. So let's pull the rest of it apart and see what we got. So it looks to me like you can see some nice crosshatch in there. Now let's see if I can find, here's another one. Yeah, you can definitely still see some amount of crosshatch in those cylinders. Hopefully this is going to be a really good, viable, short block that I can work with, that hopefully maybe make things a little more economical and make my plan work a little better. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to loosen these main caps, and we'll have a look at these bearings. My goal here, because I'm so dang cheap, I'm gonna not replace anything that I don't have to replace. So honestly, if these bearings look as good as the cylinder walls do, I'm not even gonna replace them. I'm just gonna run them and hope for the best. Now let's have a look at these bearings. You're seeing this just as I'm seeing it. It looks pretty good to me. There's like a little bit of scuffing, more or less, but honestly, it looks really good. And I mean, look at that journal. As far as I can see, I think that looks just great. But here, let's check number 2, see what it looks like. Now, oh, you can see there's a line right down the middle of it. It almost looks like it's a factory line, but I know it's not. Now, I guess as long as there's no corresponding line on the journal, which it doesn't appear like there is, I think this should be okay. It makes me wonder about using these bearings though. Like that line, I'm not sure about that. Thrust bearing looks pretty good. A little bit of scuffing on the sides, but not too bad. I don't know. It looks okay to me. Next bearing, getting closer to the oil pump, still looking really good. It's got a bit of a faint line in that one though too, if you see. And it's just that bit of scuffing. You know, I don't know what to think about that scuffing. It's just, and if you look along the edges of the bearing, like right by the bearing part, it's almost like it's stained. It's not dirty, even like there's that much you can wipe off, but it seems stained. Now this, oh, I'm not going to be able to get this off until I get the gasket off. There, now let's see what this one looks like. Get this yanked out of here and have a look at the back bearing. So here again, like it's a little bit grubby, but if you look, like the bearing itself looks pretty dang good when you wipe the schmutz off of it. But you can still see, like right along the bearing part there, it's like it's stained. It's like it's not clean. The inside of this engine doesn't look bad, but I don't know what to think about that on those bearings. It's kind of weird. So here's the rod cap. Now, I don't like the looks of that so much. Like if you look at that, you can't feel anything there, but you can certainly see it. And like it almost looks like a little bit of pitting and stuff in there. I don't super love the looks of that bearing at all. I mean, it's perfectly smooth, and I don't doubt you'd get oil pressure out of it, but I'm not thinking I'm necessarily something I'm going to want to put back on there. Now, if you look at this rod journal, looks really nice. The like the crank in this thing, I'm super confident. Look, you can't catch your fingernail on that. I'm sure this crank's going to be just fine the way it is. You look at that main, like, yeah, this just needs to be wiped off. Just grab a rag and wipe it off quick. But that looks really good too, and you cannot snag a fingernail on that for nothing. So I don't know. Does a guy be super cheap and reuse those bearings? Ah, it's tough to say. I sure would hate to screw up that nice cherry crank by being super cheap though too. So here's the top side. She's farm fresh. This one, I really guess I really probably should have cleaned it off a little better before I started taking it apart. But you know what? I'm going to tear it right down to the bare block and clean the living crap out of it to make sure it's as spick and span clean as it can possibly be when I go to put it back together. So there you go. That's the Stone Stock 5.9 Magnum. And let's see what's under that intake and maybe pop them heads off. And in typical Magnum fashion, I had to break one off. Fortunately, it's just the one. And on the few 5.9 Magnums I've ever worked on, it's always that front passenger side bolt that breaks on the intake. Good thing is, if you look right here, should be enough stuck out of there that I should be able to pull that sucker out. Here's hoping. So there's the intake off. Now, the more I dig into this, the more I'm thinking I was a stupid ass for not washing this thing real good and getting all the dust and the dirt and shit off of it. But it is what it is. Just have to do a whole lot better job of cleaning it up later on. Sometimes guys just do stupid things. Well, it actually looks nice and clean until you get to the front the front cylinder on both sides. Looks like it's got bloody barnacles on it. What's going on with that? Now, that's the same one that the bolt broke off on, but that shouldn't matter. I don't know. I hope I don't dig into something real bad here. Everything's looking good so far, but I guess you never know. Well, everything other than the crap that I dropped in there, everything looks pretty good. So there you go. The crosshatch goes kind of all the way to the top. I mean, it's not, it's just barely there, but you can feel it. As far as the ridge at the top, you can see the difference in color, but you can't feel anything, and your fingernail doesn't grab it or anything. So I'm really confident that these bores are going to be good where they're at. And probably just going to throw new rings at it and go from there. But at first quick glance, I'm not able to see a crack in any of these. Nothing that I can see so far anyway. I believe normally what they do is they crack like right there between the two valves. But If that's not the case, hopefully somebody will straighten me out and let me know where I need to look for cracks on these Magnum heads. So that's it. I got the whole top end apart. I'm pretty happy with the way things look. Those cylinders look like they're going to be okay. Hopefully everything's going to go the way I planned. Looks like I got a cam that I can have reground. I've got a cam choice made with the help of 318 wheel run. And the guys with Oregon cam grinders are going to whip that up for me as soon as I can get my core out to them. So that part's all looking good. I was able to yank my lifters out of there no problem, and it looks like I'll be able to reuse them. They were a little sticky in the lifter bores, but that'd be nothing they shouldn't be able to clean up, and maybe even have to hone those lifter bores out a little bit, but that's okay. We'll clean that all up and make it happen. So I got a good core for regrinding. Get this thing packaged up and sent over to Oregon cam grinders as soon as possible. So there you can see the 3 center cam bearings are all pretty gacked up. They don't look too good right around the oil hole. If you notice, yeah, see that one too, not as bad, but right around that oil hole, she's all gacked up. And one more is this one. So looks like we'll be popping some new cam bearings in here, but that's okay. I had a set that I've been sitting on for a long time anyway. So these pistons all look like they're going to clean up fine. It looks like the rings are loose. Other than that one that had a little bit of rust in the cylinder, they're a little bit gagged up and it takes some cleaning up. But yeah, if that cylinder cleans up, I'm just going to blam these back in the holes with new rings and obviously all cleaned up and new rod bearings. Now this is just the easy main bearing to show, but all the main bearings actually do look that good. They're really happy with them. I'll probably just throw new shells in them anyway, just on account of because, but I'm really happy with that and the crank and the way all that part's turned out. Well, there you go, it's all apart and everything looks good. There's one hole, it's actually cylinder number 1. Had a little bit of rust in it when I took it apart, and I'm going to hone it and make sure it cleans up good before I carry on too much further. It's really a shame. I really hope that one cleans up because everything else looks so nice in there, and I'm really hoping I'm going to be able to use this block the way it is. So anyway, from here she'll be cleaning it up and start working on putting things back together. Thanks for watching.